That's right. That's my friend. Welcome in, my friends. And this is going to be a lovely evening, even though it starts off with an aerial assault of apple cinnamon tea that came in a wave, almost, I guess you could say, a golden tidal wave of just hotness. And on my keyboard and on me, we have overcome it. But I have lost all of my videos and have to pull them down as we go. This is why I'm late. I apologize. There's not all, every night you're getting assaulted with apple cinnamon tea, however tasty it may be. But no problem. No problem. It just made things go a little erratic there for a minute. I think we can salvage everything. I think we're in good shape. Hello, welcome in. Welcome to the Hot Mess Express. So, I see I have three absolutely wonderful men sitting in my green room. So without further ado, let's just bring them all in. If you're ready, give me a thumbs up or passy up. Okay, we're ready. Steve, you ready? So, okay, sweetheart. So here we come. The immaculate Steve Stockton and Mr. Holden Stockton, everybody. Welcome aboard.
Hey, everybody.
There we
He's
Hi,
been laughing
baby.
and sticking his tongue out. He loved that music that you were playing,
I saw
especially
you.
when you got to the North
Hi.
Carolina part. Look up there. You can
Hi,
see me
baby.
anytime.
Hi, baby. It's that beard. It's that beard, Papa. It's a. Oh, he's got something to say. Wait a minute. Oh, wait.
You got the boss man with me tonight.
I know what that is. I'm pretty sure it was "I Love Cisco."
Yeah. Oh,
I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. Did y'all hear that? It was like an ED.
Perry Oddmother.
Oh, there it is. Cisco. There's the O part. There you go. See?
You're his
All right.
Oddmother. It's like a godmother.
Let's get Michael in here. Listen, we are going to have a good time tonight. We got Steve Stockton in here with, just it's going to be great. And we have a wonderful friend. It's so hard to put him in a category, but the three of us have such a love for history. And when we can find something to sink our teeth into and carry on a legend and sit over the fire and talk about it, or go visit somebody who got passed down through legend and putting all those puzzle pieces together, I'll tell you what, this is just so exciting for myself and for Steve too, I know. So let's get this wonderful man in here. He is author and producer and creator of Journey Through the Past, which absolutely goes for history first. And if it happens to have a ghost story attached to it or a nice little murder mystery, all the better. And he is a friend of ours. We love him dearly. He's a friend of the show. Please welcome back Michael Chiana. Get in here, sweetie. Hi, darling.
Hello.
No spate. Aren't we all?
Holden, you're adorable.
Isn't he so? Isn't he a sugar?
Sleepy, but
He's a star.
he was watching the screen and listening
Thank
to
you
the
for
music
having
a few minutes ago, but he's kind of chilling out right now.
Is he chilling? Is he
Subject
chilling?
to change at any moment.
This is his first time on air.
Well,
no, he's been on a few times.
He's been on so many channels already.
Oh, yeah?
Look at
He's been on in England and a couple
Almost
different
7.
shows in the States. And
he's almost 7 weeks old now, right?
International baby.
He's almost 7 weeks, isn't he?
Yeah, this Thursday at 4:31 p.m. will be 7 weeks old.
Isn't that something? Look at him go. Look at that. Look at that. All right. So welcome in, Mike. I mean,
thank you.
to goodness.
Thank you for having me as always. Always love being with you guys.
Oh, you too, sweetie. I've been looking forward to this. And I had it all set up. And then we had a catastrophe. I haven't had that happen, spilling something on your, I've come close a couple of times. But bless her heart, it just came in and it was so fast. You grab it up, but your keyboard's still attached to all these buttons. And I come back and I still had the show, but all my stuff was gone. So I want you guys to talk a little bit. Tell us about how you got started in Heritage Hunter and connected to, the history. And I want to go back in and retrieve, because I got to go pull up the emails, retrieve all the videos and reset again. So if you would give us a little bit on that, and then let's talk about Tom Dooley and this wonderful mystery. It's fantastic. But a little about you, sweetie.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm probably tired of hearing my story. It's the same old story. But I love history. Grew up watching all the old TV shows, The Haunted, Adam Sandler, The Munsters, you name it, I watched it. The Night Stalker was one of my favorites. And always had a passion for ghost stories and things, but never really believed that it was true. Didn't have any experiences as a young kid until I was 14, and that's when I captured my first recording on a reel-to-reel, which kind of set me on the path all these years now. So that was 14, and now I'm 60. So I've been at it for a long time. But when I moved to North Carolina in 1992, I started traveling and visiting all the haunted locations of the area, but also historical. And that's how I created the Heritage Hunter Society back then, to try and put the history and the paranormal together.
That's perfect. Now, how far are you from Wilkes County, where everything that we're going to talk about tonight kind of went down? How far away from that are you?
I'm in Raleigh, and Wilkesboro is about 2.5 hours from here. It's at the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and been going. And I do have a small place up in Eastern Tennessee, so always traveling back and forth through, and so really helped with the research over the years. But actually, we really started investigating the old jail in 2013. So it shows we spend years researching these things. We don't just go once or twice to a place like most other groups do and then put out a show. I want to really do real research on it over the years and bring in different groups over the years to investigate with me to see what we can all find at these locations. Wilkesboro Jail is an amazing place. They're very open to their spirits that are there. They do ghost tours. They do historical tours. So anybody that is interested can go and take a tour anytime there during the season of the tours.
Hey, Mike, what is the name? Is it Luster? I'm looking for the email and I'm having a hard time finding it. I know it's here. Is it that you would send me from the name of your production company?
Oh, the Locust Gap Productions.
Locust. Okay.
Yeah, like the tree. Locust
right.
Gap Productions.
Okay.
That's where my farm is, on Locust Gap Road in Tennessee.
Cool.
And that's why I named it.
Okay, there she is. There she is. And this is the trailer. I want to make sure I've got this because this is a great trailer. And one of these didn't open. But now, how did you have been studying this for decades, a long, long time, the whole Tom Dooley case.
I remember, just like everybody else, the Kingston Trio song growing up as a kid, and didn't think much about it as far as that it was real. I always just thought it was folklore. Didn't know that it was an actual real story. And back in 2013 or so, my good friends Eddie and Jeff and Brandon, Mike from NC Hags had the opportunity to go to the old jail and investigate, and they invited me to come along. And we did a great investigation. We captured some really interesting things, and that put me on the path to wanting to dig really deep into the Tom Dooley story more, and work with the local historian Ray. There's a very good friend of ours, and he's the one that was able to get us in there and work with us. He's an author. He's a paranormal investigator. He's a amazing musician that plays at the Merle Fest every year. Just an amazing guy. So, between all of our friendships, we all worked together over the years. And then I would bring in other people, smaller numbers of people, to investigate too, to see what we could capture. And from everything you've watched with the show, that seems like it's just one evening. That's 5 or 6 investigations put together.
A lot of it, because that's the main thing, is you go back and you get. That's what we've talked about this a lot of, throughout the years of spending that time going back, getting familiar, talking to the people, getting a feel for the area. And, also, I wouldn't say so much as gaining their trust so they tell you a little bit more, but I think there really is a thing where maybe locals that, heard a story might not tell everybody, but once they see you and get to know you a little bit more, maybe they would definitely be more open. So you get a little bit of the stories that other people wouldn't hear, in some cases.
There's 45 different stories to this legend, and everybody is right, so this was, and
it's one of those.
Yeah, and it's one of those 150 years later, people are still fighting over it, and relatives and people that are connected that they know the right answer and this and that. That's
There's
where
so many
Dr.
cases like that, Mike.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
there's so
because if you
many
so doing this show, the Lizzie Borden is like that. People still argue who done it. You know, name them off. I mean, little towns like that, they pick a side. You know, Villisca axe murder, even. You
and
know,
there's still so many families that are connected to this story and to the families from up in that area.
and
So
descendants still there.
yeah, and that's why when I started researching, I came across Dr. John Fletcher's book, and he's actually related to both the Foster family and the Dooley family. And he was a professional, uh, a PhD researcher for many years. And when he retired, he wanted to dig really deep into the files and the trial records and everything, and really find the true answer to what really happened. And so I used his book as a guide, and it was great because there's so many misconceptions of different things, little things, little things here and there that just people fabricate or things like that. So I definitely stuck with
As
his
is true with any
guidelines.
of these cases, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to be able to go through, I think that is also the allure of it. You know,
Mm.
is trying to piece it together. We all like to think we're good at CSI and
Oh yeah.
y-
Well,
all these
this
different
one,
things and taking facts and seeing what fits and the timelines of things. I think that's part of the intrigue as well. And
oh
it
yeah.
must be up there, even reverberating more in, the mountains back and forth, because like you said, everybody, oh, I'll tell you what happened. This is exactly how it went down. And then, that something in what they're stating just couldn't possibly fit the timeline or whatever, but you have to listen because in some cases there's a bit of truth in all of it. And then you have to sort where that truth is.
Right.
It's
And
rough.
I
It's
liked
fun
using the
though.
court. I liked using the court documents the most because that was what they were basing on. Who did the murdering and what the actual facts really were. And there were many many eyewitnesses of these people in motion during those days and the days that the murder took place. So it wasn't like this person just did this and nobody ever saw him or anything like that. Many people saw these different characters in play.
And moving. Yeah, on
Yeah,
the move and witnessing that. See,
such a tiny little
that's
community. It wasn't even a
yeah.
town. It was, just
That's
neighbors.
the exciting part, though, Mike.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
gets me excited because,
right,
again, when we were like doing Villisca, all the townspeople who said what, not just what survived. We have the tendency of doing that. The legend survives, but we just have pieces, almost like a headline, and we're running with the headline,
right,
but nobody's reading the story and then piecing together the stuff that never made the paper, never made the story, and
right.
just running with the basis and making it up as they go along or adding to it,
And
150 years,
do
you
love
know.
about this story is this was the first crime, passion of crime that went nationwide. New York Times got a hold of it, and then of course it traveled all the way to California and to all the different papers. So it was a very intriguing story that made national headlines, during this time. Which it was one of the first cases that was ever exposed like this.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I want to say hi to everybody that's in here. I'm not going to say it's moving so fast for me. I'm trying to catch everybody, but I see all my wonderful mods and all our wonderful gatekeepers and chat, and I see some new names too. So welcome to everybody. If you have questions, what I'd love for you to do is we're going to leave some time at the end if you want to ask questions of Mike and I know Steve when he gets done with Holden, he'll be back in here too, because Steve grew up in an area similar in Tennessee, not far away. And here we have Michael. He pretty much around in that area in North Carolina.
Yeah.
We've been hearing
Well,
a lot of that in the news.
he lived in the same town I did, and that I still own a place up there, Mountain City, Tennessee, and he lived there for
Oh,
several
really?
years.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
it's great. Me and him were able to share a lot of locations and things because he lived
That's
there.
so neat.
It's a tiny little community, but it's very haunted, and there's so many
Oh.
areas, and It's what they call the 3 points. It's North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee. All the state lines touch each other at 3 points. And so it's fascinating. Within 15 minutes, you can be in a different state. And
I think I've been there. I know going through, I can remember driving through, my mom saying, right here, we're in like 3 different states, sitting in that spot. Absolutely. And I want to hear what Steve thought about the Tom Dooley too, being where he was from. And was it just the song, or did he know a little bit more about the legend as well? I would love to play your trailer for your show, because I think that's going to give people a wonderful visual and an idea what we're talking about, and then get you back here to tell us what you can tell us about this wonderful story. I've got the slides and the pictures you sent from your investigation with our wonderful friend Ed and everybody there. So, and I love that guy. Now, who did you say his name was? He was at the jail and he was doing the dramatization.
Ray Asher is our good friend, excellent friend. He's an investigator. He's worked with us over the years, and he's also an author. And he started the ghost tours at the jail back in, I think, 2006. He's been doing it for many years, and he is just an amazing amount of knowledge. This man. Yeah,
I love that. I love that. Living history kind of, not so much a tour you're getting it's a little bit different than just walking around and getting a tour. Those are great too. And you get, a lot of knowledge that way. But if you can find the guy that's sitting on the bench that's there and go and ask him questions, he has more knowledge than any of, any books and all.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go. So
everybody did such a great job with all the interviews and everybody that worked with me at the jail, including Ray. And my favorite part of the whole of this episode is all the different interviews with everybody, because everybody had experiences there. And Ray, including Ray's been there for years, and he's had all kinds of experiences. And when you go do a tour, even if it's just a history tour or the ghost tour, you could have paranormal activity, because the place is that active. It's very active, and when you least expect something, that's when it happens.
That's when it happens. Yeah. And in the jail, we've often spoke on it, in a prison or a jail or anything like that. Anytime you have that kind of energy that's contained, and the walls are, stone and iron and all of this, it's just so, you almost have to expect that there's going to be some kind of stone tape theory going on. But the intelligent hauntings of those who have, for whatever reason have chosen to stay there, or somehow gotten stuck in their own little world and wound up staying there. Those are so interesting, because, oh gosh, you just figure, it just always seemed extra spooky to me, even as a kid, thinking about that, because I think, my God, they were caged in life and caged in the afterlife. And that's just so sad to me, me. It's all, Mike's been with me investigating.
You want to set them all free. We know you, Cisco. You want to set them all free.
I just want to set them all free. I just want to help them all. It's okay. And he's watching me leave the room, and I'm going back. It's like, are you sure you want to stay? Because you can really go if you want to. It's just, we're all here for something different. I just get in there and go, yeah. I see all your evidence and everything else. It's like, what are they saying? What are they saying? Where's their headspace? And where are they at right now? That kind of thing. Because listen, I can't imagine, hustling around in this earth for 61 years. I can't imagine, for a couple of hundred, and then having to go down the same stupid staircase over and over again, or stare out the same freaking window, or wander the woods hollering. I
don't believe that they're trapped. I believe they come and go.
They come and go. Well, a lot of them do, Mike.
There are spirits that don't know that they're dead. There's all facets. So, and anybody that's
absolutely
paranormal, or a viewer that's watching tonight that is not that versed in what we do all these years, I do believe that there's so many facets that we can't even keep track.
Nope. You can't, and it's hard to paint it with a broad brush.
And that's what keeps us interested all these years. Having different experiences all the time.
It's as individual as we are. People want to say, well, ghosts can't do this, and they can't. And I'm like, where's the book? Where's the book? because it's energy and it's intent and it's what was a person like alive? Was it ever alive? Is it really a person? Just there's so many questions. So that's why we laugh and giggle a little bit when people say they're experts. Expert in what?
And that's
what
why
facet?
it's fascinating to study as a topic of life. To me, it's the best topic of life to study because we're learning about the afterlife, but we're also the number one thing you should learn when you do this is to learn to live this life.
Yeah.
Don't focus. I've met so many people that they focus so much on the ghosts and the dead that they neglect their own life. And I always say,
true.
Make it part of your life, but don't let it consume you.
So true. So true. Absolutely. Because that's, I think, their message too. If they are coming back and visiting, they have knowledge and they're allowed to share. Because again, I don't have the book, but it seems like they can't tell everything. Like they signed some kind of NDA, and
give me the lottery numbers. That's all.
Yeah, just give me, but they're going to come back and they'll give you little pieces of something. Little pieces of something, that you're supposed to just hang on and figure it out. It's just so funny. You just wish they'd come out and just spill the beans, and we've had, there's been some, throughout the years that had quite a lot to say, but again, if you're looking for, tell me what to do, or again, even if ghosts or spirits, I say, come back, they're still going to respect your free will. So I'm just kind of respecting theirs too. I just want to make sure that they have all the information so they can make, an educated choice. That's all, because if you want to stay here for another couple hundred years, that's you do you. But
I think a lot of them don't have any answers as well, just like us.
So true.
They're just like us on the other side.
And we just can't assume.
What happened? Yeah. What the hell's going on?
Where am I? What's going on?
All different facts.
Everything is different.
Yeah.
All right. I want to play this. I hope that wherever Steve is, he can see it, but I'd love to play this trailer if it's okay with you. Is it a good time for you to play that? And then I've got the slides and everything else, and I don't know how you want to tell the story or how much of it you want to tell, but I highly recommend you get to
in the jail. I definitely want to explain that.
Oh, absolutely. And I got your EVPs too. The Amazon Prime is where they catch it. And when is it out now or is it coming out?
It should be out in the next week or so. It's already submitted to them. They take about a week or two to approve it. They go through all their little hoops and circles. And then once it's thumbs up, then they send me an email. So it's already been about a week. So it should be maybe this coming week. It'd be nice.
So soon. And you also have your other episodes as well. So please get there and catch those. And if you want a different approach to, if you're not familiar with Mike and what he does and the heritage hunters, the way they investigate is they go in and they speak. They get to know the place. It's not a one and done. It's not a one time. They spend an hour there with all of the blindfolds and mess, and then leave and come to a big conclusion. He's been studying this for a long time, and he spends a lot of time in various properties and talking to relatives, townspeople, people that have stories, going through documents and court documents and studying the history. And when you watch the episode, it's a full, rich episode of the knowledge that you found out, and it's wonderfully presented. The production of it is fantastic. So if you're looking, I keep hearing from people, we need a different kind of paranormal show. I miss the old paranormal shows. I hate the ones now where every time it creaks is a demon or whatever, and it's all about the team or whatever. This is it. Go see it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Journey Through the Past. I always stumble because it's so close to my name. We laugh about that. So that's why I hesitate. And here is the trailer for the new Tom Dooley episode. Correct? Here we go. I hope it plays. Plays.
Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley.
That's just beautiful.
A boy about to die. Better on the mountain. Swore she'd be your wife. Met her on the mountain. It's where you took her alive. Oh, hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. about tomorrow, I reckon where you'll be, down in some lonesome valley, hanging from a white oak tree. So hang down your head down, Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head down, Dooley. Oh boy, you're bound to
So good, Mike. So good. So good. Boy, what pipes. Now, who's singing that? Tell us about it.
That is my good friend Laura Reed. She is
Wow.
an international artist. She's been around for years.
Wow.
Originally, she was born in Africa, and she lived in North Carolina growing up. Her family moved here, and she's an amazing artist. And the name of her group is Lore, Lore, and it's her and her musical partner. And she does multiple projects. She's played with George Clinton over the years. She's played with multiple big
That
artists.
was beautiful. Man, that was beautiful.
She's an amazing harmonica player. I mean, she's a blues harmonica player that's amazing.
Wow.
So anybody,
And I saw our friend, my wonderful friend Eddie in there. I love him. I just love him to pieces. I saw him, and it's wonderful to see familiar faces. You know, I mean, it's not. I'm kind of used to seeing that, like Jack Kenna and everybody else. You know, I just don't ever get over that this whole tech thing where our friends could be doing things as beautiful as that. And I know these people. It's like, I'm so excited. So, Steve, let me ask you this: when you were off, are you good? Is Holden good? He's good.
Yeah, he's good. I had to make him a bottle. He's
Oh, bless him.
chilling with mama right now.
Bless him. He's in good hands.
Yep.
So what did you, I want to know what you knew about Tom Dooley, being where you're from, the stuff that was kicking around, you know, the stories. What did you know about Tom Dooley before?
I didn't really know.
I know
a
you
lot.
just had Mike on.
Yeah, I knew the song. I knew the Kingston Trio song. I remember hearing that on AM radio when I was a kid. And it's been covered by a lot of people from Johnny Cash to Neil Young. It's just an amazing tune. But I love that version by Lore there. I played that during the
Rose
radio.
has heard from him. He's a Tennessee boy.
So I'm going to tell on myself here. But yeah, I had Mike on my radio show a couple of weeks ago. So I got to hear the whole story already.
The whole story. I listened to it too.
Time, Mike.
It was really, really good. It was really, really good. And being the fact that you'd heard it before, you know, and you got to dig into it. Now, again, I love it when I'm shocked. I love it when you tell me something new.
It added so much more depth and meaning and the history behind it. Just what he does there with the heritage.
I could sing the song for you, but again, I always, you know, I listen to, what is the young lady's name? I believe you said she just passed. Was it Fletcher, Miss that did the files or whatever was the book that she was?
Oh, Miss Carter.
Miss Carter. Boy, I was off.
And she had built the Tom Dooley Museum at the Whippoorwill Academy, and that's up in the Wilkesboro area. And it's a pioneer village. It's dedicated to all the Appalachian and all that. And also, if you want to go and visit the Tom Dooley Museum, there's a log cabin that is completely dedicated to him. Photos and paintings and things. That one photo that I used in the show, that many people have used, even Dr. Fletcher used it on his book cover. We're not sure 100% if that's Tom. They do have a photo of Ann Milton and this one and that one, but they're thinking that it was him. So that's why I use
our best guess. Our best guess. And I know that I found out picking through this that there was a lady who drew what she thought Tom Dooley would look like, and you see that often too. That's an illustration out there, along with several of the women that you'll be unpeeling in this story. That I was just
Mrs. Carter.
Yeah. Right. Oh, Miss Carter did that. Yeah. And what the reason I brought her up was I was listening to a little bit of her interview with someone else on Most Notorious, which is one of my favorite podcasts. And hey, Eric, and she had said when she heard the song, when she was a young girl,
Yeah.
that she was 8 or 9, and she had heard the song Tom Dooley. Now she said she was sick. She had an infection, I think, from her tooth that had got into her, was affecting her brain.
Right.
She had fever.
Yeah.
And when she heard the song, she connected to the sadness, that draw, that depth of this song, that the next morning you were going to be dead, you wouldn't be here tomorrow. And she felt that because she was that sick, that maybe she connected with that feeling, and it stuck with her. And throughout her life, it just kept, kind of spattering throughout her life until she put in 30 years studying, and she went, I think, a different route. But it was just like all these wonderful stories, the Villisca axe murder with Dr. Epperly, and all the different ones. I don't care if it's Jack the Ripper. When you start digging into this, is the most fascinating part. And I think that song has got something in it,
It does.
and
It
I
really
put
does.
up a, yeah, I put whoever sings it. And the gentleman, I can't recall his name, but he was the one who wrote it was it really early? Do you know who I'm talking about? I had his picture up there. He's playing the banjo, but he's the one who wrote it.
There were several people that they're really hard to figure out
Pinpoint?
exactly who coined it originally. I mean, there's, like I said, out of the 45 different stories, they're saying that Tom Dooley wrote it, and he was singing it as he was sitting on his casket.
On his casket, riding in.
Yeah, riding to his own hanging. So,
Could have been.
which I don't think that was the case. But yeah, like we said, it's folklore, so there was some
Right.
truth to things, but
We love it though. We love it when it's spicy like that, and he wrote it himself. It's just like with poor, what's his name, that was hung for Nathan Hale. I have but one life to give to my country.
Right.
We've talked about that, folks, but still we love that stuff. We hang on to those things. And I think that's why that song kept it alive. And then, so you started studying this way back and putting things together. I know when you study something, you don't have a preconceived notion. You kind of lead where the facts take you, right?
Yeah, right.
So
and this one, it was so interesting. I think we had started back in 2013 when they first got invited, and we went and we captured some good things. And as I kept going back, and I wanted to go back with smaller and smaller groups, and then just one or two people, because I really like to do that the most. When you have 3 or 4 people, it makes it tough, and it does affect the vibration or the vibe.
Oh yeah,
sometimes.
100%.
So I would only go back with 1 or 2 people. I work with Ray sometimes just by myself, or bring in one other person. When I did bring in my good friend Carolyn, and she was an investigator for a long time, and then she took a 5-year break because she had children and she had new babies, and she was raising them. And when she finally came back, this was the first time she had investigated in over 5 years. And I brought her to the jail, and we captured some amazing things that night. What's interesting with her is in her family tree, there are some Fosters, and she doesn't know if she's somehow related to them, which it would be amazing if she was, but we didn't really have to do the research. Foster is a big name across North Carolina, and so I mean, who knows? Maybe somehow, somewhere, she's connected, and so she's the one with me standing there that she actually captured one of the best recordings we had from there.
Pretty cool. So when you started studying this, do you want to tell our chat here the story, how the legend of Tom Dooley unfolded? I was absolutely amazed when I heard, yet again, folks, when we did, Ghosts of Gettysburg and Civil War Ghosts and stuff like that, I always tell you that you would be amazed if you could read some of these letters, because they were just like us. And we tend to look back in history and think everybody was prim and proper, and they did, live by all these high morals and everything else. Let me tell you something, there's a lot going on this mountain. So please, without further ado, tell us a little bit about Tom Dooley there. Yeah, the reason's called a holler. That's funny. Oh my goodness.
Well, Tom, growing up, Tom lived in the area. His family was originally from there. And as a young teen, in his 11, 12, 13, he was involved with the Laura Foster family and Ann Foster. He grew up with all these girls, and they were all cousins. And of course, he got involved with Ann. He was 12, she was 13. They originally were caught fooling around together. It was, young love. And so he always was connected to her. And then as they got older, he got involved with the other cousin as well, Laura. And so there was some jealousy there and things like that. And this is where they coined the phrase that this is a lover's triangle murder mystery
Right.
of 1860s here in North Carolina mountains. And so he did get involved with them. And there was another cousin that came along that visited, and he got involved with her as well. Tom was a ladies' man. He just was sowing his wild oats, and he wasn't married or anything. He wasn't tied down to anybody. So he was just your typical.
He was something. Now I'd heard that from a couple of different accounts that he could have been described as handsome or rugged looking, but there was something about him. And he also played the fiddle, did he not? So
yes, he was a musician. Right.
Musician. And
Right.
I think what he did was now didn't he meet the first one? That would have been Anne Young,
Yeah,
like
he
you
was
said.
right.
And
when they
then
were 15.
the mom was like a little bit upset. Like her mom was like, hey, you guys are getting a little too close, whatever.
Right.
And she didn't even want those two together because he was kind of a musician and
Like
construction or labor or something like that.
He wanted her to marry well, and to, like any even today's standards,
Mhm.
that she wanted her to marry somebody that was well off and had ambition. And I don't think Tom had much of an ambition. He was a musician and really didn't care about owning a farm or anything like that. So
Mhm.
he was just out having a good time, and there were other women too. It wasn't just these three.
There was others.
Yeah, anybody he came into contact with that he could get a piece of, he would try or do it.
That was him. Yeah.
So
And I think he go off. I know he was in the Civil War.
Right.
He fought with the 42nd. I can't remember.
right,
But basically joined like as a musician, and I think his official when he got out, he was private, but right before he got out, he got promoted to drummer, which I thought was funny.
right.
So he was just basically a musician and kind of kicking around, and so I'm getting this feeling about Tom that he's kind of he's just going with the breeze,
Yeah.
and he's kicking through. He's what, about 22 at this time, 23,
Right,
20,
2022, right.
right
I
when
think-
he comes back.
They finally hanged him when he was 22. So yeah. So
Can you
and he was
imagine?
a prisoner of war. He was captured. He fought for the
Yeah,
South.
that's right.
And so he was put in Maryland in the Point Lookout camp there. And then when they finally released him, he walked all the way from there all the way home to North Carolina from Maryland.
That's
So-
crazy,
That's a hell of a walk.
isn't it?
that's a
But
hell of a lot.
people forget that, in the Civil War, they just like, okay, you can go home now. Wait a minute, what? I started out in Virginia and I'm in, upstate New York or
Like, see it.
wherever.
And back then that was, cut you a fast walking stick, or if you had a mule or a horse. My granddaddy used to ride from Knoxville to Strawberry Plains. Michael, that's about what, a half-hour drive or something. It'd
Yeah.
take him all day to ride a mule there and back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But just
Now, guys, what did you think? I want to just to tap it for a second and ask the chat. Had y'all heard? Do y'all pretty much know about Tom Dooley via the song and the song lyrics? Because it has been around for quite a while, and it's one of those kind of, even kids sang it. You could say it was one of those that's even tossed around. So, what did y'all think? Did you hear about Tom Dooley outside of the song, or just the song, just from the song? Henry is saying,
We sang
and
it when I was in elementary
probably a
school.
lot of people. But see, that's why I put that in the AJK, same thing. It echoed through the mountains. I just love it. There's something about the mountains. There's something. Did you see that scene, Receive? Doesn't it just call to you?
No,
It calls. It just calls. You know, and it's just something about the mountains and the people there, and listening to this and trying to get the timeline of it. Okay, this is a young buck who's, for some reason, it's not unusual for a lot of people living in one cabin or one holler or anything like that. Everybody was close. And I think he had like a lean-to outside his mama's that he slept in, from what I hear. So I'm not sure. I didn't hear too much about his mom. He was one of 6, I think, wasn't he? Had a lot of sisters, something like that.
He had 2 brothers and a sister. There was 3.
3.
So 4, yeah. And
so, and go ahead.
And it's so weird because his father's farm that they all lived at was right across the street from the creek where I actually went, and that's where they found. That's where Laura was murdered. Right
at the creek, that close.
Right there at the creek, across from where his farm was. So
wow.
Yeah, and to go to that location, my friend Ray, told me how to get out there, and I, after investigating one night and filming, before I headed back out of town, I drove out there, and in the show you'll see I'm driving my car, it's starting to rain, and you can see me filming as I'm going down the road and all, and that's the actual road that she had traveled on when she had gotten murdered.
Oh gosh, and it's such a story. I mean, there's so many, and we hear about the murders and stuff, but the most intriguing thing is that this is all going on this mountain. At the same time, a lot of these people living in the same little, would you say cabin? More or less. I don't know. I'm sure it's not standing now, but that's not unusual, right?
Yeah, and they bounced around. They would just go stay at one other person's house one night. They'd all be doing drinking hooch, and they'd all
exactly.
So it was common. They just bounced around.
It just sounds funny.
I was like, wow, these people really were partying down hard. Hard liquor and just crashing at everybody's house. But I guess it was such a tiny little community.
Community
because
like
there were street lights out there, and you're walking 2 or 3 miles to your property in the dark. So I
might as well just stay. I totally get it, but it just listening to the song and and the legend and all that stuff. We have such a, I don't want to say fairy tale, but I guess it's kind of like an illusion of what it would be like then. Like I said earlier about looking back in history and how people would act, and how prim and proper in public, but in the shadows they're getting down just like everybody. You know what I mean? So he is friends with Anne, young age. I think she was like 12, maybe he was 14. Boyfriend and girlfriend. Yeah. And the mom's getting a little nervous, doesn't want her to marry this dude with the fiddle. So I don't know what happened there and what went down, but he winds up, I guess there's a gap there in time from what I've heard. You can maybe fill it in, but she winds up getting married to this Milton guy who was an older guy, and James Milton, and he was a businessman. What he did 2 strange things, I think. Wasn't it like a cobbler and something else?
Well, he was a wagon builder. He was a cobbler, he was a farmer, and the misconceptions is, people said, oh, he was very well off. Well, he really wasn't.
He wasn't.
Where Dr. Fletcher's book really brings to light the true facts. Everybody said, oh, she married up just, for his money and this and that. He actually went and served in the Civil War at the same time as Tom. So
yes, I heard that. That's wild. Yeah, tell that.
He served at the same time.
There's that book.
There's the book, and definitely get the book and read it, because I've read many other books, and they were all going off on different tales of speculation, and this man,
as they often do.
Yeah, Mr. Fletcher, he's a PhD, and he really researched the true facts and all the court records and all the interviews of people that actually were witnessed kind of what went on during those days before and after the murder. So
wow.
A lot of facts to it that like there's a fact where Tom came over one day to borrow a tool, which I forget what they called it, a special tool for cutting weeds and stuff.
A sickle?
Yeah,
Maybe.
may have been.
Something like that.
He was going to clear the path because the path was very hard to travel. And he was clearing the path at night and doing it like, incognito. So they're wondering, was he clearing the path so that they kind of knew where to bury the body that they were maybe planning to kill. So there's so many different speculations.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard that one.
These are actual witnesses saying that,
right.
He was walking down the road with it. And then we found that he didn't really clear any of the path that he was talking about. So it's still has so many things to it,
There's so many different things. So we've got him up to the point where Anne marries this Milton guy. Right. They go off there at the same time. They're off in the Civil War. He goes through his stuff. He gets promoted to drummer, and prisoner of war, comes back, walks all the way back, and she's married to this guy.
Right. Well,
there's a couple of cousins involved.
Yeah, she was married to James before they even went to the Civil War. So,
oh, okay.
So he had moved in with them, and I don't know what the deal was with them as far as Tom would sleep with James in the bed, at times, and so people think that it was like something like an open relationship where he was in bed with Anne all the time. I don't think that was the case. I think that he was doing it behind James's back, and I think James wasn't stupid. He was an older man, but I think that it was never approved of, and he would sneak around when he could in the barns and different things. So really don't think that James thought that thought that they were really gave him permission to do what they were doing. So
and sometimes that's the way it's put on, like you said, like everybody thought they had an open marriage, because the stuff that went on here was crazy, because it wasn't just Tom sleeping with Anne, who was married to Milton. There was cousins involved. Now, who came next? Was it now that I've heard her called Pauline and Pauline?
Pauline is the same pronunciation, right? And that was the thing too. Was Pauline came to the area. She was from Watauga County, which is up towards Boone. And during the Civil War, she had contracted syphilis, and she was coming down to their farm to work.
That's her on the right? Well, supposedly.
Well, no, that's Anne. That's Anne to the right, and there's Laura. And in the middle, that's supposed to be Anne as well. So we don't have any pictures of Pearline.
We don't have Pearline. Okay.
Right. And so,
sorry, guys.
Anne thought, she was trying to be smart and sneaky, and she told Pearline to start fooling around with Tom to make it look like he was in a relationship with her to cover up her relationship with Tom.
That makes sense.
And that's where the syphilis came from. And of course, she came to town and didn't tell anybody that she had it, and started sleeping with Tom. And of course, Tom probably gave it to Anne, and then he started sleeping with Laura, and so it all spread that way. The only one that really
Milton got it too.
Yeah, Milton got it too as well.
They all
got it. He was upset. He said he was going to kill whoever gave it to him.
Right, yeah. Tom did. Right, and but they didn't think he meant it literally. So it's just
we've all said stuff like that.
Meanwhile, the doctor knew that everybody was being treated because he was the only one in the area that could treat these people, and so he knew, but he wasn't telling anybody. He didn't tell anybody. So
wow. And it's just rumbling through. And I guarantee, like you said, there was other people on the mountain that came up with it also. And I thought it was interesting that, we think penicillin now, but back then they were treating it with a compound of like mercury and some other stuff. Do you remember what they call? I can't remember what the compound was, but I think Pearline came there to get that. Maybe she was, leaving out of town, because we don't know the wake of syphilis she left behind her either.
And what's interesting with syphilis is there's 3 to 4 different periods of, when you first get it, and then it, incubation wise. And that's how they were able to track back the timeline on where they think and who gave it to who, because of how severe it was to each person.
Oh, wow.
That was also put in the court records as well. And so, 'cause
Can you imagine?
it took months and
It
months.
was treated with mercury, arsenic, and sulfur. So doesn't that sound like fun?
That sounds perfect. What a
Yeah.
compound that was.
But
You know,
that's how they knew. Tom thought that Laura gave it to her, but they had checked and saw the incubation wise of it, and said that it couldn't have been her because she only had a smaller, degree of it at the time. So so he was wrong, and really, we now know that it was probably Pearline or Pauline that gave it to everybody. So,
mhm.
and
And it just spread like wildfire up there after that
yeah,
hooch got rolling. I'll tell you what,
yeah.
that's something else.
But
That's
I
something
think
else.
it's funny how he's out there popping everybody, and then he's all mad at everybody for getting it. Well, and keep it
Yeah,
in your pants,
exactly. Exactly. But he seems like that kind of, didn't he lose his dad young too? Am I mistaken that?
I think it's that possibly, yeah,
Possible. So, and
yeah,
I was just thinking about his dynamic. He was, a lot of kids, people all over the place,
right,
lots of girls, and he found out probably early that he could use his charm. This was his shtick,
right,
He's one of those guys.
yeah,
And then he goes around, he's got all these women. Now he's kind of exposed because they all know, they're all with you. You can't hold it back. It's now, when did Laura Foster come into it? She was also a cousin.
yeah. And she always lived in that area, so
Okay.
I think that maybe he got tired of trying to hide behind with Anne behind James's back, and maybe. And for him, the wind blew, so then he went to
Right.
Laura.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
Exactly.
she had no ties to anybody, and she wasn't married to anybody, and she was supposed to be attractive as well. So he probably just got involved with her. I don't blame him, but
Yeah,
Anne was
22. He's 22.
and Anne was known to be a very jealous person. So, and there was a lot of things noted about her, the jealous rants and things like that. So,
Mhm.
but I just think it's amazing that he banged around and did all this, and then he's all upset that he captured this. So
Yeah, that he caught this. And like I said, probably because it starts to put pressure on things. Now you got people, like you said, and I didn't think about that, the different stages of it,
right,
the rumblings around. I'm wondering where all these people, you think back, like, I guess, like Hatfield McCoy kind of thing. You wonder where all of the spurned older brothers, the fathers, the grandfathers of these girls are, and what was going on, wherever the local hangout was, or walking down the streets. I mean, you can't avoid these people. This is, you're in a tight spot, you're in a
right,
tight place,
Mul-
close
mul-
community.
yeah,
So you can't avoid it. So a lot of pressure must have been really on that. So
yeah.
what is the general story of what you think happened? I mean, I've heard so many things of the horse, that comes back, Laura leaves. There's
Right.
also a strange movie, and I have to touch on this. It's very strange. This is a movie that I think was done in maybe 58, somewhere around in there, maybe a little later, with Michael Landon. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the Tom Dooley story. Not a
Right.
thing. I think the only things
Yeah,
that
I
might.
found that doing research for Michael's
Did you?
episode on my radio show. I found it here on YouTube, and I watched it. And I'm like, "What the hell's this?" It doesn't have
What is
anything
this?
to do with
They
anything.
made him into a hero.
It was like
he
his
was like
second
a,
movie, I think, and yeah, it
yeah,
didn't
he
have anything to do with
made him
the
into like
legend
this
of Tom
hero
Dooley.
character, nothing to do with the actual real facts. And
Yeah. But isn't
so
that typical? It happens every time, and people see that. Well, not so much now, but then,
that
and
movie went international. I mean, it went
yeah, and people think that's the story,
so,
and we got to pick back from that too. My
yeah,
goodness, it's
But,
hard. It's hard getting to the truth, Mike, but we'll get it. We'll get it.
And the other thing about the syphilis too is the longer you had it, it did affect your mind. You could have
Yes,
mental illness from it.
Al Capone,
right?
hallucinations. So much.
So,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
so true.
And they didn't really know. I mean, think about the medical field back then, 1860s. They didn't have a lot of treatments for things. So,
Right.
so maybe they thought it was like a death sentence in a way. By getting
Yes.
that. So,
Yes. I
how
can
many
imagine.
war soldiers died from syphilis. So.
Right. And you're also, in reality, you're taking this mercury, this arsenic, and whatever the other thing was, compound, and it's just like go to Tombstone and the laudanum that was rolling through. I mean, it just, so you're self-medicating really with this bottle of whatever mixture is, and on top of that, you're drinking this mountain hooch, and that's some pretty powerful alcohol, which stops your immune system completely. So it mixed with the mercury and the boy, that's quite the cocktail.
Oh yeah,
A little arsenic, a little mercury, a little moonshine.
They were all making
that'll light up your mountain,
If it
won't
doesn't
it?
cure you, it'll kill you. Or both.
Or make you go nuts and start stabbing people.
It's a miracle he didn't get syphilis from other people. I mean, from all the people who supposedly
Oh my
doing.
gosh. Oh my gosh. And whatever you're bringing back from, a prison camp and, the Civil War, and, I mean, it just, it just gets more gross as we go. It's so true. So what do you think the official story is? The story that you feel is official, that somebody got jealous, even in that movie, I think they were pushing the fact that maybe Laura was pregnant and they were going to go off and get married, and she thought she was going to go get married. It's so sad.
She wasn't pregnant because when they did find her body, they did an autopsy and she was not pregnant.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Also, they said, they were going to run away and get married. They were both in their mid-20s, so legally they didn't have to run away to get married. They could have got married at any time. They didn't have to run away. There was no reason for that. So these are the points that Dr. Fletcher brought up in his book, which really makes sense and really brings it to light.
Yep, this too.
So, so if they really want, it really came down to the jealousy of the other cousin. And she really was, I mean, I don't know what
it
she
could be, Vixen. Could be. Could be.
I think maybe because she was connected
to him a Hatfield
at such a young age that maybe she was really truly in love with him versus, her husband and this and that. So, but
he could play a mean fiddle, I hear.
Yeah.
That go for him. I mean, it's almost impossible to pick apart what would have happened in that, because that's why I was searching for. I can't imagine, with what I understand, communities like that are. There's almost always like RP said, she's a Hatfield. That kind of my little sister or my cousin or big brother, whatever it may be, a father or whatever, going after this kid or them. You're giving a family a bad name, whatever it may be. There had to be a lot of tension on that mountain, around this time. And you say that there was witnesses and stuff to what was going on with the people. What was going on?
Well, these neighbors were all subpoenaed. They were all brought to court.
Okay.
Back in the day, if you weren't honest, they'd throw you in jail and you could lose everything. You could lose your farm. You could lose your livelihood. So these people took it seriously. They were all, there were so many witnesses that saw things. And that's kind of how they, I think he was involved to some extent. I don't think that he actually physically hurt her. And even before they hanged him, he said, I did not hurt one hair on that girl's head. And I do believe that. But then, he went
he is there.
Yeah. He
looks different in this picture.
Writing a 15-page note for the court to say that Anne was not guilty. So, you have to wonder, what was this guy doing? Maybe the syphilis has finally got to his brain, because why are you writing a 15-page thing clearing her? So it's so hard you can't get into his head to really know what he was thinking.
Well, they considered the possibility that he took the fall because it was one of the women that killed her, and then he was in love with her and took he said he'd go to the gallows for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, I think that's what happened too. That's why I started so hard digging into how he was brought up, who brought him up. His mom brought him up. He's surrounded by sisters. Even though he was a gigolo and a philandering fiddle player, he might have had some kind of ingrained chivalry. Hard to imagine, but possibly psychologically, that he would step up and do that. And even if his brain was getting a little crazy with the syphilis, I don't know how long he had it or the timeline. She was arrested or held captive. She was arrested too and put on trial, was she not,
Yeah.
Anne?
She was in the same. Anne was in the jail. The jail only has 2 cells, male and female, and she was in this other cell with him for several months until she was finally cleared because of what Tom had said.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, very interesting. And there is a woman spirit that's at that jail, and she's not very nice, and she has said some mean things in the past to people that come to visit there. So do we know if it's Anne? No, we don't know, but
Could be.
could
be. Yeah. We don't know. And that's the whole point. Just because you get something doesn't mean you can't just say a hello doesn't mean you're talking to John Wilkes Booth.
Well, and after Tom was hanged, she said her life was ruined. And,
Mhm.
they had, things about her, interviews with her or people,
Mhm.
telling other that her life was ruined, basically putting the blame on him once again,
Mhm.
saying that, her whole life was ruined and this and that. And I think it was the guilt. I think it was the
Mhm.
guilt of what she did.
And she didn't live very much longer after that, just a couple years, right? And she didn't do very, anything.
And it's funny because there's
spectacular.
different stories. One story says that she was injured in a wagon had flipped over, and she had been injured, and then she had succumbed to her injuries. Other ones say that she was deathly sick because of syphilis. She never got
Uh-huh.
treated for it, and eventually it took her out. And they even said on her deathbed that the doctor witnessed to her admitting things, which of course he would never release what she had said. So all in all, pretty much like the song says. But Tom took the blame for it, I think, and
Yeah.
it just
And
shows
I
how.
think that's so sad.
Yeah, it's very
It's
sad.
so, it's yeah. I mean, and anything like that when you have somebody that's innocent, and how he went to the gallows, and saying, look at this hand, it doesn't shake. I didn't hurt a hair on her head, and all that. The whole part where she leaves. How long was she missing before the horse came back and they went to go look for her in that direction or whatever? Is all that?
It was weeks. She was missing.
Wow.
For
Okay.
weeks. And what was interesting was when she went missing, and then a day or so later, the horse had come back, and the rope, wherever he was tied to, he either gnawed the rope or broke it, and he came back. And
Right.
so the father was. They even said that the father was more happy to have the horse back. He didn't care about Laura so much.
Wow.
He could care less what happened to her, which kind of shows what kind of parent he was.
Right.
I don't think that these people were very good parents, and
No.
they kind of just were very all about themselves and just what they could get out of something. I don't think that they were great parents.
It's a wonder how anybody just survives in that, that
Yeah.
situation, because not all of the pockets are like that,
Right.
of the communities. It all depends on what you were in. And,
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to figure out how could he have gone been such like a leaf blown in the wind kind of guy, but
Yeah.
he still had this core. If he did do that, he had this moral core that was so strong that he would stand to be hung. Little jokes like, we don't know for sure if it was said or not. I don't know. But
Right. I think
to the guy, if I knew you were going to use such a good clean rope, I would have washed my neck, kind of stuff. He's kind of blowing it off. So it sounded like he had his faculties about him, but he was kind of taking that John Dillinger kind of edge to it. It's like, we're going to do this.
I think he was a fool, and I think that he was. Anne had control over him and his mind,
wow.
And I do believe that because
she's a little stronger, strong-minded, strong-willed.
Yeah, we don't really know what his mindset was. We don't know.
And she's known him since, at least 10 years, since she was like 12, young.
Right.
So,
and then to convince him to help her. But we do believe that this was all pre-planned.
Do you?
And there's
Now, what would be the motive? What was the motive if it was pre-planned? What was the?
It was jealousy, but if you really research all the different stories, you
Okay.
get so confused because when I first started filming this and doing my dialogue years ago, I went by what I had learned, and then after I did more research, I had to go back and refilm stuff because the stuff I had filmed was incorrect. And I said, well, I can't put something out that's incorrect. So I went back and had to travel and film and do different things. But there's also stories where, Anne's mother was a very greedy person and only cared about money, money, money. And there's even a story that says that she was planning to get rid of Tom, to get him out of the way so that the daughter could be more successful with James Milton. So, you don't really know. I mean,
there was a lot of conspiracy going down on that mountain, boy. And she's found in a shallow grave.
Right.
That was kind of real short. So they even took a short amount of time with it, right? She was found curled up in this shallow grave. How long till they found her? You said that was weeks?
Well, there's even more to the story. Pearline and Anne, of course, Anne knew where the body was. And Pearline was getting nervous because she didn't want to be accused of being blamed for this. And so her and Anne went up to the grave to make sure that the body was still there. And so you have this as well. And then Pearline actually went to the authorities and told on everybody because she didn't want to be blamed. Now, meanwhile, if it wasn't for Pearline not getting the syphilis, there would have never been a murder, if you think about it. So,
wow.
Pearline should have never come to.
She should have never come up to that mountain. Pearline. You know, can you imagine? Why did you come up to this mountain? Right. So, oh, wow. That's something else, man.
And if you read the book, like I said, Dr. Fletcher's book is great because it really brings these things to light. And it's a lot of it's eyewitnesses and hearsay of what people were told from these actual people. So I do believe that these neighbors were not speculating. I do believe that they were, sharing what they encountered with these people. So yeah, so it definitely was. It took a village. It took a village.
It took a village. You bet. You bet. And he was pretty much convicted. If you look back at the trial, would you consider it a true statement that he was pretty much convicted on circumstantial evidence and his own confession? Well, that's pretty much did it.
2 different trials, and the first one convicted him, but then something was done wrong with the filing and the different things, so they had to squash it. And so he went back into jail and stayed there for another 6 months or so, and then they did another trial, and then he was again convicted. And so, of course, when you're also writing a 15-page letter, saying that Anne had nothing to do with it, so that's Anne to the right. There's Tom, and of course Laura's gravestone. And
wow, it's just, and I don't know if we touched on it. If you see his name written as Tom Dooley, do you want to explain that, how it's pronounced?
Well, that is the proper spelling is Dooley, but for some reason I don't see the connection. I don't know how they got Dooley from Dooley, and so Dr. Fletcher does break it down in the book.
Right. It's kind of like Opry, Grand Ole Opry.
Especially in Appalachia, that's a southern thing. Yeah, the Grand Ole Opry. There were some people where I grew up named Maccabee, but my mom's family called them Magsby. I have no idea where they got Magsby out of Maccabee, but that's what they were known as.
Right, and that's what happened with Tom too. And I don't know. I guess it sounds better for the song.
Yeah, Tom Dooley. Yeah. I think it was. I'm going to try to pull up your EVPs here. That's what I'm trying to diligent. Of course, I had all this set. And all this set. I'm just so glad it didn't go haywire because that could have been something else. But so we got really lucky
right there. And so to the left of the building was the jail keeper's residence. He lived upstairs with his wife, and downstairs. And then the far right windows, just the top, was the male cell. And on the back side of that building was the female cell. So it was just 2 small cells, and if they had 5 or 10 people, they were all in one cell, and that's how it was.
Wow.
And,
Just packed.
Yeah.
It just adds to the whole,
Yeah.
demoralizing of it. You know what I mean? I could just, I think that's, of course, that's part of it, but still, I don't ever think that's really a good idea. Now she was right next to him, so that, they're probably talking back and forth.
Yeah,
and,
I'm sure they talk all the time, sure.
Oh man.
But,
All right, let me see if I can get another one up here. How many did you send me, hon? I think it was 4, right?
I can't remember what I sent you.
Yep, I think you did.
She's doing that. I've got a
Does this sound familiar to you, Poe something, Heritage?
Oh, yeah, this has got nothing to do with Tom Dooley.
Okay. I'm
got
loading
a quick question.
I'm loading them up.
On those pictures there, the tombstone, you can see about a quarter of it's gone. Is that people taking souvenirs, or is something else happened to it?
And that's not the first tombstone. They've had several, and people would go up there, and like I said, there's still this rivalry going on, and the families are still feuding, and there's a lot of people that would go up there and chip off pieces, thinking, this damn Tom Dooley, he did this, and right, and so they would want
even in death, they won't leave him alone.
Yeah, they wouldn't leave him alone.
Wow, that stinks.
And that actually, that property where his grave is actually was his mother's farm. So after he was hanged, his sister and brother-in-law went and retrieved the body and brought it back to her property to bury there. But yeah, that's the second or third tombstone that's been replaced over the years, and people keep breaking pieces of it off.
And it was, you're talking about the Dooley tombstone, right?
Yes, Tom Dooley. Yeah.
Let's see if I can find that again.
Yeah, it was in one of the pictures there earlier.
Yep, I had it.
And Laura Foster's grave is way out in the middle of the field by the Yadkin River, and it's on a farm that has electric fence. So if anybody's thinking about going there to try and get over to her grave, don't, because you're gonna get zapped.
You're gonna get zapped.
You're gonna get zapped.
You're gonna get zapped. But there it is, and it's just it's so. Look at that, Joe. Look at that wood. I just love stuff like that with wood. But I wanted to ask the chat if they had any questions. You guys have any questions about Tom Dooley, Laura Foster? I think it's very interesting to look back at the crime scene investigation techniques at the time, because Steve and I have delved into this. I know you have as well. Multiple cases where people are just, it's near impossible to get, good evidence. They certainly weren't using gloves. They certainly weren't using Ziploc bags or collecting evidence. I had heard that there was blood stains on the ground where the rope was found tied to the tree. Do you find that to be true? I found it. So that's why I was asking how long to find her, because I figured, weather and everything else. She was just stabbed. She was stabbed once in the heart, wasn't she? Or in the stomach?
In the breast area. Yeah. Like in the rib cage. And,
wow.
They probably dragged her into the creek, which was really interesting about the creek is because when you first go down this road, the creek is 30, 40, 50 feet down on the roadside, and you can barely even see it. And as you get to the top of the hill, the creek comes almost even with the road. And so that's kind of right where they had done it. And they said that they dragged her in the water, they stabbed her. And the most interesting thing, I didn't put it in the show because quality-wise, it was hard to hear, but I got an EVP when I was when we would do the jail, we would only go in one at a time, and we would send everybody else over to the Cleveland house, which was next door. That way, everybody could have their own time with nobody in the building, so if they captured something, we didn't have to sit there and try and figure out what it was. And I had asked, I was in the female cell by myself, and I said, who killed Laura Foster? And I got an EVP of a female voice saying, the creek. And at the time, I knew nothing about a creek. I didn't know that she was stabbed. I hadn't read Dr. Fletcher's book yet. And this is several years ago. And so the next day when I was heading out, I called my friend Ray. I said, Ray, what's the story about a creek? He goes, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you about the creek. Yeah, she was killed in the creek. She was stabbed there. And
wow. That's
when he told me all about the creek. And I only asked that because I got the EVP saying the creek. And how ballsy of a ghost to say, I'm not
the creek did it. Yeah.
The creek did it.
The creek did it.
Wow, what
That's
a
the first
cowardly-
thing I thought when you said that. It's like you would have said the creek did it.
And I was like, wow, and I captured
Wow.
that. And, and
Very cool.
if I never captured it, I would have never asked them about the creek. I would have never went there. And
Well, it's such a validation, though.
yeah,
Such a validation.
so I drove
you
out
know.
there that morning before heading home, and that's when I got there. And I got up to the creek, and I was like, oh, crap. So, but the quality wasn't good enough, and I tried everything I could to make it clear, and couldn't get it because I wanted to play the EVP at the creek of the person saying the creek. So, but it's interesting tidbit of
Yeah, that is interesting. That connection to energy, interesting test there.
the word cowardly
Absolutely.
thing.
So this,
you didn't take the blame for it, so yeah, the creek did it.
yeah, this is the jail.
That's
And
the
it's still, is this, now this is a replica or this is on a foundation of the actual, what do you think?
It's the actual building. Of course, it was restored over the years because it was falling apart. It was in bad shape. It sat abandoned for years in the location. And so then they brought in volunteers for the Wilkes Museum in that area. They made the whole little square a historical museum.
There you go.
And you have the courthouse across the way, which is now a museum as well. And then you have the old jail, and then next door is the Robert Cleveland House, which is the oldest house in the county. That was several miles out in the field, completely almost abandoned and falling down. And they picked up that building back in the 90s and all the pieces, and they brought it over and they reassembled it and renovated it to, and that's from the American Revolution. So you have the American Revolution building next door, and then you have the 1850s, 1860s jail there. So this, if you go back with that photo there.
Which one, hon? This one?
There's one before that. Maybe, I don't know how I sent it to you, but
okay.
Another one of the bench.
Okay.
Is that one? Keep going.
This one?
Yeah, go back to the original bench.
Okay.
I was sitting in the jail by myself doing some recording. Nobody was in the building. And I took a photo of the bench with my flash on. You can see it's all lit up. And then go to the next photo of the other bench. So
look at that.
Is flash. I'm not using any flash. I was using a full spectrum camera. And I saw that white orb with my eyes. And then it looked like something sitting on the bench. You can see that.
It sure does.
And this is with no flash photography. So I thought
that was
very.
Yeah, I see that.
It almost looks like legs sitting over the edge. You know what I mean? Like something's trying to manifest and it's got legs over the edge. What do you think, chat? Yeah.
Definitely
you see it? And you saw the orb with your eye?
Yeah.
With your naked...
I saw it with my eye as I took it. And I was like, what the hell?
Wow.
But I use full spectrum a lot. So that picture originally was completely purple. So I take the color out of it so you could see better.
So you can see.
Right. And the full spectrum I like to use a lot. A lot of people don't use it properly or don't know how to use it. But you can capture some really good things.
And that's more of a purple when you get the. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because the camera is basically it's taken apart and they pull the filter out. So they really kind of destroy the camera in a way so that it could see more into the spectrum, the light spectrum. And I always say if it gives you 1% more than you could capture with the regular camera, it's worth doing. So that's a full spectrum capture right there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, they see it too. That what a catch! What a catch! Now you had the stairs here. Is this the stairs in the jail going up, or
that's the only stairs that goes up to the cells, and you can see all the treads are worn. Those are the original treads from when they did have prisoners. Every day, up and down the stairs. If they would take them outside and let them spend some time outside. So
much history on those stairs.
A lot of action. And I actually captured something at the top of the stairs that's in the show that you'll have to see when you watch the show.
Wow. See, you got to see the show to see what he captured at the top of the stairs. I just find stairs creepy. We looked a long time at the stairs, didn't we, Steve, at the Villisca axe murder house? That turn that killer took. Creepy.
Yeah, creepy.
because you just imagine that killer coming up those stairs and having to take that turn and holding the lantern, and as he's coming up the stairs, he sees the mother and the dad in the bed there, and just it's creepy. Stairs are creepy to me. So many
Yeah.
ghost stories about stairs, but yeah, and look at all that the brick and everything else.
That's all
Yeah.
original. Yeah.
Yeah, and this, obviously the wood too, because like you said, look at the wear and
Really,
tear.
you see the floorboards. When you walk on those boards, they creak like hell. And
Oh, I
so we'd
bet.
be sitting in the jail.
There too.
We'd be sitting there quietly, and we'd hear somebody walking across the boards in the other.
Oh, wow.
And we captured that a few times. And it's super loud. You hear all this, and it wasn't like a drop in temperature or environment or
Right.
like that. It was a weight on the boards. And so, yeah, it is a very active place. And what I love about it is, especially with my show, anything you see on Journey Through the Past, you can actually go there and you can visit these places. You can take the tours.
And that's neat.
From doing a hotel that's haunted or something, you could stay at the hotel or a restaurant or winery, and you can go have your own experience.
It's pretty cool. And you did something cool with that too, I think. Or aren't you starting to use the scan? So you were telling me something that you did where in another museum or somebody where you had the scan where you can actually go up with your phone and scan and get the information. What were you doing with that?
Oh, the QR code.
Yes, there we go.
Yes, I did that for the Country Squire Inn episode, and I'm going to do it for the jail as well. And I'm hoping that they'll let me put it in the jail, because when they do the tours, then people can just scan it with their phone and they can pull up the show. And,
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool?
Technology is amazing.
Technology, right? It blew my mind.
My son helped me with this, so
that is the coolest thing.
But I'm hoping that I can do it at the jail. I'll do it at the my next location.
That's so neat.
I have
now I had never thought of that before, but we had just recently went to Monmouth Battlefield, and I think they had one similar. So you could scan it and hear about the general, and it had somebody narrating. It wasn't a whole video; it was more of just an audio, but it was so neat. And I think, man, this is the next step in being able to do that, because it's just so cool.
Well, my main reason for doing it, especially with the Country Squire, is the owner is in her mid to late 70s. She still runs the operation. She's there every day, and she meets with everybody. And for her to articulate about the show and Prime, she doesn't know about computers, and she still has a flip phone. I mean, we always laugh about that. So I said, I told her, I said, look, I'm going to come down, I'm going to make you a certificate, and I'm going to put the QR code on there, and we can hang it in the restaurant so people can see it, and then people can, and they can access the show. And she loved it. And so I went down and presented it.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool. It opens up so many ideas. Like, can you imagine if they could do just use Tom Dooley as the, as the example, like if you had that in a museum, you had these pictures, or you had something of Anne or whatever, and you could hit that button or scan that thing and hear like the interview recording of somebody's family member that was telling that little piece of the story. You could almost go around the room and hear the story, told from witnesses and their accounts, and maybe, accounts read from the court, and stuff like that. It adds so much more to it, and
there's so much to it. There's no way you could put that much information out there.
So much.
That's why you have to read books. But you Googled it. You saw how many different books were written on the subject of Tom Dooley.
And the bold-faced, like, Wikipedia explanations. And I don't mean just Wikipedia. I mean multiple websites that I went through. And I've only been studying this for, a week or two. And, looking at this, and they'll bold-faced say, Tom Dooley, who murdered Laura Foster because she was carrying his unborn child, and yada, 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 and took the, whatever. And it just states all these things as fact, and it's so far from the truth.
Yeah.
And you just, I still never get over that. Steve, it bugs Steve too. How you can put it in print if it's not true?
Well, that's
why so different.
I really wanted to get the story right. And,
yes. Yes, that's the most important thing.
And like I said, this could have been a 2-hour show, and I was really
Yeah.
my thing now is to keep my shows to about 30 minutes max, because time span wise, it's a good amount of time. You can get a lot of stuff in there, and
Right.
people's attention span is perfect for 30 minutes. Anything more than
Yeah.
that, people lose interest, no matter what
Yeah.
it is. So all my other series will be that, and it's hard to get all that in there, but it keeps them
That's a
more
lot of information for a short amount of show. And
yeah,
and you know, I do find that if it's interesting and if you're giving facts, people do they're coming back to long form. I think they're almost trying to escape those 30-second TikTok things, you know, that just kind of hypnotize you and just put you into it's almost like today's equivalent to that spinny wheel that they would have in the fun house that was red and white and it would just spin and you just staring at it like this. It's the same thing. It's the same principle. And I think people are going back to long form. They want to be entertained. They want to be taken there. They want to understand and you know and hear about the different people, the character. They want to care about the characters.
And as a
You know.
filmmaker or director, you have like when I was putting the show together, especially this one, with so much information. Of course I
Thank
wanted
you,
to keep
Kat.
the timing on it right, but I also wanted to make sure it was really intriguing to watch, because when I would roll back to look at whatever I was editing, I would watch it as a viewer, not as the creator. And I had to make sure, and I always say if I don't like it and I don't care for what's going on, then I won't put it out.
Well, you got a great formula, my friend, because it works and it's a wonderful show. And again, Amazon Prime, you've got to watch these shows, and you know you're going to get that satisfying feeling that you're looking for when you go back and you look for these you know sightings and things the way they used to tell a story. They used to tell you about the history of it, you know, unsolved mysteries. You heard the history and about the people and everything else. Nowadays, it's just, you know, we're going to this house, we're kicking in the doors, but it's okay because we all have matching T-shirts and the best equipment. And that's not always the best approach when you know, if you really want to get into understanding the ghost or the haunting or the history of the home, because even if there's no ghost there, the home has a story. The walls tell a story. That jail tells a story. And it's just, you know, really cool that we're still keeping that alive after all this time. You know, I just think that's neat. And you're doing a great job. You want to do some EVPs?
Sure.
All right, guys, listen, I got you some EVPs here that Mike was so
Yeah, you can play any of them. Just tell me what they are, and I'll give you the
Sure. He was so nice to send them over here. Now you said let's just start with this one because you said it had nothing to do with Tom Dooley. It's Poe, something about Poe. I don't want to say any more. Right. And I hope I have it turned up enough. You guys tell me. I can get Poe. What's the last thing?
Well, first of all, this is at the Edgar Allan Poe Museum in Richmond, Virginia. I was up there to do a shoot for a friend of mine who's a musician. She was doing a show later that night, and I had seen that the Poe Museum was there. I said, "Oh, got to go to the Poe Museum." And so I went there, and it wasn't very busy there, and I was basically able to go into the different buildings with nobody in there. And so I pulled out my recorder, and I always introduce myself. I said, Mike, Heritage Hunters, Michael, Heritage Hunters. And I was in the room that had Edgar Allan Poe's childhood bed, and it had all his artifacts when he was a little kid. And so I was in there, and I said, who's here with me? I said, I'm Mike from Heritage. Well, that EVP says Poe, and it says The Heritage.
Oh, wow. Let's hear it again. Let's hear it again, guys. Ready? Yep. I hear it now.
I'm Heritage. Oh,
I'm Heritage. Wow.
Maybe he was making fun of me. I'm Heritage, you know.
I'm Heritage.
Yeah, I'm Heritage. Yeah, Poe, I'm Heritage.
You guys hear it? Can you guys hear that? That was crazy. Wow. And you were at the Poe Museum. I just did an episode on Poe. It's fascinating. Again, dug into him, was nothing what I thought, completely different, so much depth, and I think that's true when you dig into anything and you really look for the facts, and it's amazing. Again, I think one that really surprised me was George Washington. I just love him so much, the man, and the way he thought and why he did what he did and what his struggles were. I just love finding that out about people. Poe is a great story. He's absolutely a great story. All right, let's get another one here. This one it's got river in it.
What does it say?
River. HRMV Voice House.
Oh, okay. This is the Henry River Mill Village.
Okay.
This is also known as the Hunger Games property. That was the same movie, The Hunger Games. Okay. And it was part of the opening scene was filmed at the Henry River Mill Village. And so I actually booked the entire village, and I brought about 12 investigators with me, and we covered the entire village in one night. And there's 10 or 15 buildings, and so everybody was spread out. And this is a voice that I captured in this one building.
Okay. Well, that sounds like an interesting investigation. Here we go.
You might have to bump it up.
Oh, wow. Let me see if I can. I hear something, and it sounds strong. I just can't get the volume. What do you think it's saying? Because I'm hearing that rumble, and it's a very bass.
It's a very clear voice. Unfortunately, you can't turn it up more for folks.
I can't get it up.
It says Buddy Walton. I asked who was there, and you hear a voice saying Buddy Walton. And
all right, guys, listen in close. Get your headphones if you need to. That'll be helpful right now for this segment. Because I can hear it, and I can hear the thump, but I don't think there's any way I can turn it up from this end. Oh gosh, I heard it that time. As soon as you said that, I heard it. Buddy Walton. Now, who is Buddy Walton?
Well, the Henry River Mill Village was a textile mill. It had a factory back in the day, and these were these little villages that they would make for all the employees that would work at the mill, and they would build homes for them, and they would pay them in their own currency. And so that they had a company store, so you never got paid with cash. You got paid with buttons or coins that were made just for the Henry River. And so they had their own church, they had their own school, and it was an amazing place to investigate.
Very much like a Lair Village here. Same setup for a steam, a steam factory. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, any place you find a really strong river, they would use the river, and they would use the turbines and different things for textiles and different factories. And unfortunately, the factory burnt down in the 90s. It was hit by lightning and burned to the ground. And then, of course, that was the end of the village. But now this one fellow went in and bought the entire property. It's about 300 acres. I think he has about 36 homes that he's renovating. He made this one beautiful one that he put a lot of money into. He renovated it, made it into a beautiful duplex, and you could rent it and you can stay there overnight. And we actually did, me, Eddie, and Brandon, and our good friend Danny Corley.
Oh, so what a fun group.
Yeah, we
I love these guys.
And so then we had the entire village to ourselves for 24 hours. And plus we got food there. And
so much fun.
Beautiful renovated duplex. But just amazing history. That's in Hickory, North Carolina, if anybody's interested.
Wow.
They do day tours. They do history tours. They do haunted tours, things like that. You can rent it. If you're a paranormal team, you can get up with the owner and rent it for an evening. So, yeah, it's a great place.
That's amazing. So, Buddy Walton, one more time. I hear it clear as day now. Buddy Walton. One more time, guys. That's nuts. It's very clear. It's very clear what you, yep. All right. Now the next one is Wilkes, Cleveland.
Oh yeah, this is up there in Wilkesboro. This is part of the Tom Dooley
Okay.
episode, and this is a Cleveland house next door.
Okay.
I don't know what the EVP is saying, but you can play it. No.
All right. Here we go, folks. All right. Heads in. Close your eyes. You can hear better when you close your eyes. What? That's so creepy. I don't know why that's so creepy.
Oh, this one's creepy.
This is creepy to me. I got a funny energy off of that. What was going on?
Well, we were actually packing up at the end of the night,
Ooh,
and I was getting my recorder. Was upstairs in the Pioneer home. That's from the late 1700s. And Ray and my good friend Michaela were downstairs, the psychic medium. And I was just getting my recorder, and I was before I even picked it up. And I use dual recorders, so
okay.
If you hear something to the left, it's to the left. If you hear something to the right, it's to the right. Well, this thing went across the left and right. You can hear it.
It's
very loud.
Moving, yeah.
It's saying, "Just kill me, just kill me."
Oh my gosh.
Kill me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you can hear
Oh
it
my gosh.
left to right. So it must have been zooming past me.
It's like moving. Yeah.
Yeah, as it was
and it
by.
just got such a weird, intense energy off of it. Not in an evil way, but it was creepy. I don't know how to describe it. Okay, here we go again, guys. Yeah. Oh, man. Are you guys picking that up? Does that feel weird to you? All my people with abilities out there, are you getting that same kind of, deep chill? It's crazy. Wow. All right, let's see. Now, did you feel that? Did you feel something happening when that you can recall in that time it would have picked it up?
When I investigate, I stay very, very mellow.
Mm-hmm.
There could be
he's mellow, dude.
300-pound ghost next to me, getting ready to hit me with that, and I wouldn't even know. Stay very easy keeled, and so I didn't sense anything, which I'm glad in a way I don't, because I don't think I would capture as much as I do. I just go do my job, and like I said, I've been doing it for so many years now that
I know.
I'm kind of accustomed to it.
That just had such it had like thorns on it or something. It was really weird. It must have been a very
during the review, it blows my mind. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, you picked it up then? Wow.
Oh yeah, I've heard so many crazy things over the years, but that's a crazy one.
I know. It's usually they don't hit me like that. Sometimes I get really sad. Like it'll make me sad, or because it's just a little bit of their energy. It's that's why I try to warn people about electronics so much. We always complain that this person's calling me or texting me, and all this other stuff is draining you. Well, you're answering them. You're in there. You're in the social media. And you're answering. You're interacting with that energy, and you're taking some of it in. So just don't accept it. Just stop interacting with it. You know what I mean? You don't have to accept the energy is what I'm saying. So it does have its effect. Okay, this one is again from the jail.
Okay.
And let's see what this one says. That's like a squeaky whisper.
Yeah, what did I put in the description? Just the jail?
Safe with that men's cell.
Oh yeah, this one is kind of weird. That's when I was in the cell and I caught that photo over the bench.
Okay.
I always introduce myself whenever I sit down and get comfortable, because I'll introduce myself and then I'll get quiet. I'll stay quiet. Mm-hmm. And so I just told them what I was doing there. And this one is a whispery voice, and it's saying, "Safe, it's okay with us." It's saying something similar to those lines.
So it's
But
okay with us.
reading
Steve,
that,
did you hear that last one? I know you were out and about, probably, but did you hear that last one? I was interested to see how it went through your filters on it. Did you get a chance to hear that?
No, can you play it again?
I sure can. Listen here.
Thank you.
Right, ready?
Yep.
Did you get it?
I hear it, but I can't tell what it's saying.
But how does it make you feel? It's kind of, it makes my whole insides do this.
Yeah,
like
there's
tighten up.
a cringy thing to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. And I mean, even more so than just like your hair. It's a different than your hair standing up on your neck and your arms. It's more of a, it's the same way I react to that box that goes. If I'm around it too long, it's like my insides are just, just pulling away from the sound. It's weird.
Steve is saying, "Kill me,
Kill me."
kill me," and it
Here,
goes.
you're listening.
My dual recorder from left to right. You'll hear it zooming past me from left to right. Kill
It's
me.
actually moving. Here, listen again, Steve. You getting that movement kind of?
Yeah. That's strange.
Yeah. And the other one, I like this one too. Now, first I didn't hear it was kind of like a deep bass thud. I'll let you listen to it once, and then and Mike can tell you what it was saying. And then as soon as you can hear it, then, but it's very, very clear. One more time. Now he's saying it's real low, but when you hear like a little, and you hear a break, and then you hear the da 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 da, you hear that sound. He's saying Buddy Walters, and that was somebody that would have connected in.
Buddy
But
Walton, like the
Walton, like a Walton. I'm sorry. Ready? Listen again. You have to close your eyes. You hear better when you close your eyes. Now you can hear. Yep. Now you got it right. Man, that was good, wasn't it? Yeah. That was amazing. So, so much fun. And I do believe that you get these EVPs because, without a doubt, it's your aura, it's your vibe, it's your, the frequency that you're on. And it's absolutely true. What freaks me out with some of them, again, this is a jail. And, again, like I said, they for some reason, there's somebody in there that stayed, or they're attracted to us and they came in with us, or whatever it may have been. But with so many of yours, when you look back, there was a significant answer to, what you were saying, or what you were, you're getting answers to things in some ways. And I think that's really cool. It's really cool. So keep going. What's the next project? Oh my gosh. I always hate when I finish a project because I'm like, what's next? What's next? I want to get excited about the next.
I started on my next one, which is an old school from the 1940s, and it's about 5 minutes from my farm up in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And I met the owners many years ago, became very friendly with them. And when they found out what I did, they asked me to come in and investigate, which I did. I've been the only one to ever investigate there over the years.
How cool.
And
I've driven by there before, and it's a spooky place, that's for sure.
Yeah, down in Butler.
Yep.
Yeah, and
wow.
But captured some really great things, and filmed that one 3 or 4 years ago, and so now I have to put it all together. I have like 150 SD cards, so
oh wow. Yeah.
Different projects over the years.
That's a treasure trove of stuff.
Yeah, it sure is. It's quite the story. It's quite the story. And I think we always, again, that song, and it's imagining him, when you said that about the coffin, I was listening to a lot of different takes. Like you said, there's so many out there. And I tried to stick in around where you told me to stay, because I know you'd already put in the time. So it was just gathering up a little bit here, a little bit there. And when they were talking about how they had him riding in on his coffin, and put the noose around his neck. I mean, to me, it always, and I know Steve is going to agree with me on this because I just know him, but to me, the people that are doing these things are so much more diabolical than half the time the criminals that they're hanging or
Yeah.
chopping heads off or putting in the gallows, tearing apart and drawing quarter in. And it's just, what are these people thinking? I mean, if you really thought he did it, stand him up, popping. Why are you dragging him through town and all this? But it was such a power play by the powers that be to keep everybody in line in the town. It's like, if you step out of line, this is what's going to happen. And people that are hungry for justice. But if you imagine a town like this, it's even extra creepy because everybody knew him. Everybody knew what was going on.
And you have to remember too, is this is right after the Civil War. So of course the South was destroyed, and so North Carolina didn't have any laws at that time. So it really was a running
free for all.
Yeah, and so there was no judicial. Yeah, we had court systems and things like that, but they were still going to stick it to the Southerners and show them, who was the boss, and until they finally got taken back over and became a legal state, away from the Civil War.
I'll tell you what, you gotta look out for them mountain girls, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, and fiddle players apparently, and that doctor must have had some tales to tell. You know what I mean?
You have to wonder. I mean, this was the first case ever that became a national story. But I'm sure there's 50 other stories very similar to this that we don't know about, never heard about.
There's a lot of stories.
One community, this had to happen to 100 different folks.
Oh my gosh, yeah. We do some digging. You know what? See, we could keep digging stories from now to the end of time and never run out of stories. That's we count on that, But this has been a heck of a story, and I can't. When you brought it up, and it was so exciting because again, I do that. Like I'll finish one, and I'll finish with like Lizzie Borden or something. I was like, you just feel drained, and then like, where's the next one? You want to be excited about it, and this one got me excited. I had no idea, and again, the song, the way it's written, the tone, the keys, the chords used, all of it. It has that draw, that deep down, dig down draw, and I think it harkens, kind of haunting. The song is almost more haunting than the story itself because it really does get down and make you feel.
Well, that's Laura Reed. She really did it. I've never heard.
We're going to play it again on the way out. I think we need to play it again.
A hardcore rock version that she did that nobody has ever done. I've listened to many different versions, but she really nailed it, and she's an amazing artist. So definitely give her any links you can. She really appreciate it.
Say it, it's Lore, Lore, is the band?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get that in the description too. Can mods if they have a YouTube channel or a website, could you find that the Lore band, and her name is again?
Laura Reed.
Laura Reed, REED.
Whatislore.com.
That's
there you go. Thanks, guys. Throw that up here.
Lore.com. Right.
We're gonna play that trailer on the way out here. Before we do, Steve, what do you got going on this week? This Halloween spooky season. What do you got going on?
I got all kinds of stuff coming up on Missing Persons and Mysteries, and I'm working on some stuff for Tales Untold as well.
There you go. And as far as over here, tomorrow night, please be here 8 p.m. Eastern time for the beginning of our Halloween. What is it? I guess it's not an anniversary. What is it? I guess our annual showing, our annual showing of Cabin 22. We're doing chapters probably 1 and 2 in the prequel, so you'll get to know all the characters. You'll get to meet everybody.
And at some point, you and I are supposed to record with Shannon LeGros Into the Fray for the 8th annual All Hallows Eve. I don't know when that's taking place.
Yeah, we have to check again for the date and see if we can record. We'll probably have to do that at a daytime thing because we're running that Cabin 22 from tomorrow night all the way through to next Sunday. So if you can't be here for one, go into my playlist on my channel It says Cabin 22 is right there. And just listen to the episode we did the night before and jump in the next night. And, this chat will get you through it because it's a great story. And I think it has a lot of parallels with things going on today. Good dark versus light, and light wins. And there's spoiler alert, So there you go. But if you like dogmen and rougarous and moonshiners and ghosts and soul collectors and vampire ghost kids, yep, and dogs, rats, yep, bats and black cats, we got it all for you. So see you here tomorrow night for that. Mike, I can't thank you enough, darling. And it's like, so how many episodes do you have on your show now?
This is my second one, and I have two more to do before I finish out this season with that show. And then I might, my favorite thing is haunted hotels, and I may do a series on that.
I would love that.
That's my favorite thing to do, is travel to locations, stay there, and investigate. So
sounds wonderful.
Kind of dovetails with something I'm working on. It's some haunted hotels in New England that you can stay at.
Oh, yes, I'll come and visit you.
Out for that.
And I'm also working on my book, Chasing the Darkness.
Wow.
Private investigations that I've had over the years while working full time at my normal job, having experiences in a historical home. So,
wow. So interesting.
Yeah. So
that's something to look forward to. I hope that, I can't wait for you to come back again. You've always got the greatest CBPs. I love you. Your big old hugs to you. You're going to have to go and hug all the boys for me now. Go hug Brandon, go hug Eddie, everybody else out there. Okay. And come back soon. Happy Halloween, my love.
Thank you. Thanks,
this
guys.
Spooky season. Here we are.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. We're going to play your trailer on the way out. Okay. And Steve, I love you. I love to hold it into Nick. And I'm going to pull
being his odd mother.
Oh.
It's like a godmother, except that she's the odd mother.
I'm the odd mother. I'm the it's like, I'm telling you what, he'd never want for a thing. Because if I could find this now, I think I got it. All right, guys, this is beautiful. Beautiful job on the trailer. I can't wait to see the show. Good night, everybody. We love you.
Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Oh boy, about to die.
Love you. Be good humans.
Better on the mountain. Swore she'd be your wife. Met her on the mountain. Where you took her alive. Oh, hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Oh boy, about to die. Come this time tomorrow, I reckon where you'll be, down in some lonesome valley, hanging from the white